Hi everybody, Guild Ball Week is coming next week here on Beasts of War. We've had the guys in from Steamforged, we've got some epic battle reports, some really cool faction chats, and some great prizes up for grabs. We've got 3 copies of Guild Ball Kickoff to give away. So that's the Masons and the Brewers. Stay tuned for next week's content, get your comments in, and you could be one of our lucky winners.
Hey everyone, Sam here, also known as Mr. Stainless 001, and we are back in Total War Warhammer for another episode of a journey from the tabletop. Now, I've got a little bit of a different introduction for you this week. This wasn't the introduction I had planned, but unfortunately, after recording last week's episode, I went on, recorded obviously the moves that I carried out on the campaign map after destroying the city and people of Marienburg. First of all, thank you to everybody for your lovely complimentary comments on YouTube and over in the Beast of War forums for that episode. You guys seem to really enjoy it. I think that may be the style that we do the battles in from now on. However, I have taken on board your constructive criticisms of Sam. Maybe chill out a little bit with the slow-mo. And don't worry, the slow-mo shall be chilled. However, unfortunately, after recording the last episode, the great Chaos God Cinch managed to worm his way into my hard drives and corrupted the footage. So unfortunately, the footage that I recorded of the following moves is no longer alive or with us. So instead, what I'm going to do is actually just chat you through very quickly the moves that I carried out and what actually happened here in the campaign map. And then we're actually going to jump into another battle just to lighten the blow a little bit. So last week we took the city of Marienburg. Thank goodness. Ignore how much money we have coming in per turn. You'll understand why in a second. As you can see, the city of Marienburg is bringing in like 1,440 coins per turn, which is pretty good. Public order is also really stable at the moment, which I'm quite happy with. Adelhard himself actually took control of Marienburg for a little while we marched Leoncoeur's forces down here to retake Lyonesse. Lyonesse was ransacked really by the forces of the undead, or an incursion from forces of the undead. However, they weren't the Mousillon people. Unfortunately, were just a randomly spawned NPC tribe that wanted to ransack and spread their vampiric curses throughout the land. We managed to take care of them. We reformed Lyonesse. It's now been rebuilt. Public order is fine. We're trying to reduce vampiric corruption there. We also managed to recruit a paladin, which is quite cool. He's currently on his way down to Mousillon. However, we are going to talk about Mousillon a little bit more, but before we get there, we did manage to, if I can find my research, there we go. We managed to research the heraldry of Baston. And when we did that, the people of Baston actually entered into confederacy with us. So we now have a third army, which is why this is so low and that is so high. The forces of Baston are going to be invaluable, I believe, in the coming battles. Equally, we were drawn into war with the people of Mousillon. Basically, one of the other Bretonnian factions, I think it was Bordelot, they were attacked by Mousillon because we had a defensive alliance with them. We obviously had the choice of either entering into the war with them against Mousillon or leaving them to breaking the alliance and thereby lowering our diplomatic relations pretty much with everyone. So in that moment I knew, well, I want to attack these undead forces and get rid of them anyway, so I might as well use this as an opportunity to go about doing that. What we did is we marched Adelhard's army from Marienburg all the way down. I think we went through the Giseru Pass and right down to Lyonesse, and this is where we met them actually. Leoncoeur's army was here in Lyonesse. The forces of Mousillon had about 3 armies here, and they all marched them towards Leoncoeur. it was terrifying. I thought Luen was going to have a horrible, horrible death. They laid siege, or they arrived here but didn't push any further. I managed to get Edelhard's army and Luen's army to kind of team up and basically just go for it. And then they were equally reinforced by the forces of Lyonesse, the garrison forces of Lyonesse. And that is the battle that we're going to be showing you today. Just to kind of let you know what my tactics are in the upcoming episodes. Luen and Edelhard are going to push forth down to Mousillon, try and mop up these forces along the way. Meanwhile, we have, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Beaumond? We're going to call him Beaumond, the Devoted. He's going to push forth from the east and attack Mousillon here. So in theory, we will have three Bretonnian armies, three glorious Bretonnian armies laying siege to Mousillon, which will inevitably, hopefully, end in our victory. I think we should win that battle quite easily. That will then eradicate the vampiric forces here in the Bretonnian kingdom. And from there, I guess we just have to figure out who we're going to kill next. We could go for the dwarves. We could go for the wood elves down here. We could try and confederate with more Bretonnian factions. But folks, you're now all up to date with what happened after the Battle of Marienburg. And as an extra treat, I'm going to bring you another battle now. This was the first time I've ever fought against forces of the undead. It was a little bit terrifying. There were so many troops on the battlefield that my computer started to lag out. But folks, here is our first foray into the forces of the undead. Enjoy. So this is the Battle of Lyonesse. This was fought just outside the city of Lyonesse after we had rebuilt it. As I said, we managed to get Luen Leoncoeur's army and Edelhard's army to kind of team up and take on about, I think it's 2 large armies from Mousillon with the garrison forces of Lyonesse in reserve as reinforcements. You're going to see a lot of slow motion again in this battle, I'm afraid. We're probably going to have to use a lot of slow motion for each of the undead battles. The reason for that is because once the 2 armies clash in real time, my computer dies and we basically go down to about 1 or 2 frames per second, and you're basically watching a stop motion animation at that point. So if we put it in slow motion, my computer's usually able to keep up, and it's simply down to the sheer amount of troops that the undead forces, the armies of the undead, field on the battlefield. And it is terrifying. This was my first time fighting the forces of the undead, and it was pretty daunting. Tactics wise, I went for an ultra defensive maneuver here. I had a very large mountain, or not a mountain really, a very large hill on the battlefield, which I could have used. I decided not to though. I fielded the majority of my army down in lowlands, the low ground, just beside a little riverbed, and I put them into almost a defensive V. With my shielded spearmen and shielded men of arms in the front line, 4 units, sorry, of standard men at arms in the second line, along with my units of artillery, and then I was having reinforcements coming from the rear in the form of archers and a few more men at arms units as well. My main tactic here was to try and capture the bulk of the undead forces in the middle of that V, or in the inside of that V, because what I did was I actually stationed my knights, my cavalry, on top of the hill. Luen Leoncoeur, of course, was actually coming to reinforce me as well. Unfortunately, though, which was slightly annoying tactically for me, he deployed kind of at the enemy's side of the map. What I wanted to do was not have a mirror of what happened in the Battle of Coron, and the moment that he came onto the battlefield with his troops, I sent them to run from that side of the map down to where Edelhard was waiting with his forces. Edelhard again was leading the charge in this battle. It was yet another opportunity for him to prove himself. We've actually got him a mount now because he's leveled up a little bit more, so he looks even more glorious on his horse. Once the undead forces clashed against my shield wall, though, my troops were holding out, but it was just terrifying to watch. You just saw your units being more or less swallowed up by the sheer volume of skeletons and zombies that were being fielded by the undead forces. Lyonesse eventually came round from my left flank, managed to deploy his archers, who were able to just kind of shoot into the zombies, the skeletons that were attacking my left flank, and slowly start to help whittle them down as he sent his men-at-arms units to actually cut off the reinforcing undead forces that were coming. And it was actually at that moment that I started to remember some of the Warhammer books that I had read. So because I'm not a tabletop Warhammer gamer, I don't know a lot of the rules when it comes to the tabletop. I don't know how a lot of the units work. However, one thing that I do know is Graham McNeil's Time of Legends Sigmar trilogy. Absolutely love those books. I've read through all three of them, and it was kind of one of the things that really introduced me to the Warhammer world, and one of the things that kind of helped me fall in love with the Warhammer world were those three books. And one thing that just kind of clicked with me in that was, well, hey, Sam, wait a minute. These are forces of the undead. They're bound to someone in this army, and the person that they're probably bound to are the leaders of their armies. So if I take down their leaders, then the dark magic that is binding all these soldiers together, that's keeping them alive, should in essence fall apart. So at that point I started to focus my attention on the actual leaders of the undead forces. I got Edelhard to charge in and try and hunt them down, which he did really effectively. Managed to kill both leaders or slay both leaders on the battlefield of both of the undead forces, and with that the binding magic that was actually holding the army together started to weaken, and you saw them getting a massive debuff. At that point I just started to see my troops almost like turn the tide, and it went from maybe being winning slightly to winning decisively, and that's at the point when I knew, okay, that was what I needed to do a lot sooner, and I wouldn't have lost so many men. We came out of this battle quite well. We did lose a lot of men, but not so many that it was a Pyrrhic victory. But I think it was, as my first battle against the undead, it was definitely a challenge. It was definitely tricky enough to make me feel uneasy, but it's definitely given me the skill and the knowledge to go on and push the advantage and lay siege to Mousillon in the upcoming episodes, and hopefully I'll be able to put to use what I've learnt here at the Battle of Lyonesse. Folks, thank you so much for watching. This has been another episode of Journey from the Tabletop. Apologies that it has been slightly different from our usual episodes, which sucks because of Cinch, the old bastard, sneaking into my hard drives and ruining all my footage. But we will be back to normal next week as we continue to follow Edelhard and Lyonesse' journey further into the lands of the Mousillon undead forces, and hopefully it won't be long until we completely destroy them. Folks, if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that subscribe button. You'll be kept notified of when new videos go live here on the channel. But until next time, folks, I hope you're having a great week, and I'll speak to you soon.